On this episode of The Sit Down, co-founder Albert Daniels explains prosperity by design.
Well, basically, what we understand is that prosperity is a concept, an idea. And what we want to do is, prosperity is more than just money. You know, most people consider prosperity just being money, but it's more than money. It's a lifestyle. And so what we want to do is allow people to design their own prosperity. Because prosperity is different to different people. It's like I always say, I am so glad that everybody don't like BMWs. I mean, the idea is that somebody might like BMW, somebody might like the Mercedes, somebody might like the Chevrolet. So, because that's such an individual thing, we also believe that prosperity is an individual thing. And I think part of the problem is that what we've seen in the past, or the challenge, is that everybody tries to latch on based on somebody else's perception. What we want to do is allow people for a change, to have an opportunity to really figure out what it was to them on a personal level and for their family. And so what happens is when you join the orientation class, you're kind of like sitting at the top of the class. You have 2 in the first row, you have 4 in the second row, and you have 8 in the third row. And that's just in the orientation class. So what we did is kept that small, and what we wanted to do was start that process. So as people come in behind you, somebody else signs up for a class. If you can imagine, it's like going to a university, and for a change, it's a first come, first serve almost. So as you walk through and you come into the classroom and you're first, and as people come behind you, the university says, listen, as people come behind you, we're going to give you a piece of their tuition. That's basically what this is about. But we're going to give you that tuition based on the idea that you have to learn how to do this. So that's what we came up with, the Get Paid to Learn system. In order for any of the income to be generated, you must first take the class. Okay? Now, what we call that whole earning process is we use the term education credits, primarily because this is an education program. We use it, and it's an online education product. So we thought, okay, instead of calling them dollars, we call them education credits. So that's really what that's about. So in the first row, you have 2 students. So these students show up. When they show up, you get paid per student. So what's happening is you get 8 education credits, which technically is like $8 per student. So again, students walk through the door, they start in and they come into the class, and all of a sudden the first 2 rows are full, you've gotten $16. The second row has 4 students in it. You get $3 per student. So technically when that row is filled, you get 12. And finally, on the final row, it's 8 students. And when all of those 8 students are in that class, you have a total of $9 per student. So if you add all of that up, what you're talking about is to completely fill up that orientation class, you just got 100 education credits, or if we look at it another way, $100. We said, okay, so the orientation is finished. It's kind of like in a real school environment. You go through this orientation, so you find out basically what is this all about? What is the school all about? What you got to do, the requirements as well as the rules. So that's what orientation usually does. Mm-hmm. When you go to any orientation, that's what they do. So now we're actually into the classroom. So now they get to take the first class, which is the freshman class. Now, the cool thing is when you look at the orientation training in the video, we start immediately talking about the concept, the idea. Because one of the things that we say from the very beginning, and we say that throughout, is 80% of prosperity is mental and 20% is the mechanics. So we can keep them in the mental framework, and then apply the mechanics. That's what we do it. So next class is the freshman class. Okay, so in the freshman class, got a little different program. What we decided to do is, obviously, after you get through the orientation, we want to expand the number of people in the classroom. So we expand the number of people in the classroom, and so the way we work that is the same concept: 3 rows, three levels of students, but it works a little different. The first row has 3 students, the next row has 9, the last row has 27. So what that means to you simply is this: on the first row, you get 10 education credits per student. That's $10.
Right.
So, but we want to stay with that education credit concept. So you get 10 education credits on the first level. On the second level, you get 9. And on the third level, you get 21. So on the second level, you have 9 students in that row. So that's 9 education credits, $9 per student. And finally, on the bottom row, you have 21 credits and 27 students. That's how that adds up. Now, what that adds up to is 678 education credits. Or, we'll look at it another way, $678. Same concept, 3 rows of students, 3 sets of students, 3 rows. And so you got that same 3, 9, 27. The only difference is the amount of education credits you get, which of course means more dollars. On the first row, you get 40. On the second row, you get 30. And finally, on the third row, you get 50. That is a total of 1,720 education credits, or $1,700. Now, what's happening is you're learning, but your income is increasing at the same time. So now it's a possibility to look at a bunch of different things that you might be able to do. But the idea is that as the classes keep progressing, you keep getting more and more education credits. The class size stays the same. What happens in the junior class, the only difference is now, instead of same three concepts, 3 on the first, 3 in your first row, 9 on the second, 27 on the third. But now we're getting a little bit more into this thing, more meat, more opportunity to learn. Well, as you learn and start to see more things, you may see a pattern here, which is about creating more income. We started out small and we keep going up one level at a time, and you keep learning more and more information. Classes get a little bit more intense. Not crazy, but a little bit more intense. Because what we're trying to do is, we keep that jargon simple, but we want you to really grasp the stuff. Sometimes people will take the class and realize, okay, I did okay with the test, but I want to go back and do it again. So to get to do that, that's the beauty of the system, is you can go back and forth through these classes over and over again. Of course, we'll be definitely evolving, so we'll be making changes to those classes to make them stronger, more solid as time goes on, and that's all part of the system. But same concept, except now the difference is that those education credits in total is worth over $10,000. The senior class is where we really start to try to mold the students, because the object and the goal of the first 4 classes, or the first 4 periods, freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior, is to get you to a point where you've created at least a couple of 2-3 income streams. The real goal is to allow you, by the time you finish all those classes, the first 4, plus the orientation, by the time you finish that, you should be at a point where if you have not yet created several income streams, you should be on the verge of that. One of the things that I tell all the students is that income streams do not necessarily have to look like work. They can be passive income streams. The point is what we want to do is start to develop that, so that by the time you graduate and really have done the program like we want you to, then by that time, not only would you have earned income from our program, which is right at that point should be a total of about $35,000, but we also want you now to be in a position be in a position where you've now developed a couple of other income streams. And if you haven't, then we say, okay, well maybe we need to go back and look at it a little bit more. But the concept is, the idea is to develop some income stream. Now you've earned $35,000 at that point. And so what you want to do is take that $35,000 maybe and manipulate it a little bit. And those are the things that we teach you through the classes. So that by the time you get to the graduation time, by the time you get to say, okay, I've done all of this stuff. At some point in that period, we want to see you starting to develop other income streams. By the time you get through the master's program, you're now really structured well. You're looking at different ideas, income streams. You may be investing in all kinds of interesting things. You may franchises, who knows? All of that is based on the individual. So you find your own space. But the idea is that what we want to do when you get to the master's class, we're going to be looking at those people entering the master's class to see that they started to do what we wanted them to do at the bachelor's level. But when they get into the master's program, then we're going to have an expectation that they do a little bit more. But it's going to be crazy, because at that point now we're talking again about financial independence. At the doctoral level, we're talking about not just financial independence. Now we're talking about financial freedom. Financial freedom is where everything you even thought you wanted to do, you can take care of with your income stream. That's the goal. At that level, we're talking about making over $380,000. Wow. So you see, by the time you finish, unlike in a normal situation where you owe $200,000 or $300,000, you actually have put in your pocket $300,000 to $500,000 in income. They actually have a couple of different. We have 4 different ways, number one, for them to get paid. Okay. The first way, of course, is because we're marketing and doing all kinds of things all the time. People are loving what we do, so they're joining all the time. So that's one way people enter your classroom. The next way people enter your classroom is those people who are already there might be excited, and they may tell somebody. So that's another way that they enter your class. A third way that they may enter your class is, even though you may not see them, but somebody up above you will also probably be sharing this with some folks. And so that's a third way. And finally, the fourth way is that you, of course, share this as you start making money and learning stuff. You don't usually want to keep that to yourself, so you're going to go out and talk to people. You do not have to wait until the class is full. You get paid every week on whoever or whatever students have entered that class at that point. So it's not like you got to wait till all the class is full and everything for you to get paid. The only requirement that we really have is that you take the test. So our system is designed in such a way that what has to happen is you have to take the class. When you take the class, it now allows you to get paid on everybody in that classroom whenever they show up. So literally, what we have is a system that'll, and we use the text message method, but we have a system that will allow you every time somebody walks in and joins your classroom, you get a text message letting you know you just earned some more education credits. So that means next week, when we run that list to see where you are, then we'll pay you out. The beauty is that we decided to create something that we call the advisory program, which we are really excited about. Once you share this with at least 5 people, from that 6th person on, we reward you. We say, okay, listen, you must be pretty serious about helping people. And so since you're serious about helping people, we want to reward you for helping people. And the way we do that is we simply give you 10% of their income. Not taking it from them, but we give whatever they earn weekly from that 6th person on, whether it's 6 to 100 or 5,000 or whatever. From that point on, every single person that joins the program as a result of you sharing that, you get 10% of their income. If somebody just goes through the bachelor's program, they earned over $35,000. That means that you would earn $3,500 on that one person. So now imagine all of a sudden you put 10 in, and now you earned an extra $35,000 just off of that initial, those people going through the initial classes. If they go above, you keep getting that earning.
Stay tuned to the next episode of The Sit Down.